In other news, it's been a year since the Las Vegas massacre where one man opened fire on a crowd at a concert, killing 58 people. Stephanie Riggs reported from Las Vegas for CBN News covering the tragedy, and she joins us now. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hello.
Hi, your thoughts a year later?
You know, I will never forget that story as long as I live, and I've been doing this for decades. I went there, and the first place I turned to was Church Las Vegas, and I met a young girl, believe it or not, 16 years old, wise beyond her years, and she taught me so many lessons in that interview. Here she was, blood on her boots, and she said, I'm going to turn to faith. I'm going to turn to God. I'm not going to limit him. Jesus didn't come here to explain evil to us. He came here to deliver us from it. He took care of all of it on the cross. Paul teaches us in Philippians, don't be anxious. Think about what's lovely, what's noble, what's true. She says it's so easy to get stuck. She decided that this was a battle of evil and that one man was not going to ruin her life. She said it wasn't fair to Jesus for what he did on that cross, and she was going to forgive him because she knew that this was an act of evil. And I think when I left that interview, I couldn't believe this young girl, 16 years old. And I'll tell you something, people saw that story all over the world. And I had calls on my cell phone. People found my phone number. They wanted to do interviews with her in England, in Europe. And, she did it. And I think what she did is she taught us all that, this is a tough world that we live in, but we have a big God and not to limit him. And I remember leaving there thinking, this all came out of a 16-year-old girl when her whole world was turned upside down. We talk about our faith, but hers was tested, and that's how she answered the call. She said, God, I'm going to trust you through all of this.
Now, is her name Lynette? I just want to make sure we're talking about the same person here. Yes?
It's Lynn Martinez, and she's 16 years old.
Okay. You also told the story of a survivor named Lynette. Is that someone different? Any word on how she's doing?
No, her name is Lynn. Yeah,
Lynn. Okay. So how is she doing today? Any word on that?
Well, based on that interview, we had kept in touch for a while there. Based on that interview, I think she's going to go very far. She knows how this all ends. And she reminds us every day that we have a choice. We have a choice whether to wake up every day and stay stuck and bitter. I mean, look at all that's going around. I'm wearing pink today because it's the beginning of October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have so many people battling every day for their lives. It's a gift. And she reminded me that it's something that you don't take for granted. If you're breathing right now, God's asking you to trust him and to run your race. And don't get distracted by all the darkness, because isn't it so easy just to get stuck on the negativity, especially in this business? I needed Lynn to remind me of this, because it is easy when you focus every day on the negative. We have a God, right? We have a big God, and she reminded me to pray. And I remember going back to the hotel thinking, I think I just got not convicted, but convinced by a 16-year-old girl. She set me straight. And I was thinking, I have a 19-year-old son. I don't know if I did a good enough job with him. He doesn't sound like her.
Well, that's a great word. That's wonderful to hear about the impact that she had on you and many, many others. You also reported on triumphs over tragedy. How have you seen that play out over the past year, Stephanie?
Well, you think about it. That was, 22,000 people were at that music festival that day. And there were more than 1,000 bullets unleashed. There were so many cameras there. This has probably been the most documented shooting and event. It's traumatized so many people. They've talked about it. They said, I don't want to see the video anymore. Well, you know what? I agree with them. Turn it off. But I had heard about this couple, and they decided that they were going to just give Satan a black eye, and they decided to have their wedding because they survived it at Mandalay Bay today. So they said, no, we are not going to let this define us. One man's evil isn't going to define us. And they're getting married today at Mandalay Bay 1 year later because they lived, they said, to say, I do. More than 800 people were injured in that. And, to me, there's still people that are living with those wounds, not to mention those that we lost, the more than 50 lives that we lost. But those lives are not lost forever, as we know. If you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, this isn't the end of it. And we have a Savior well acquainted with pain and suffering. He gets it. He gets it. And he is a comforter. And he said he'll be with us always. There was another guy that I interviewed, Chris Hahn. And I remember, I usually ask people, what's your name? And I have them spell it for me. And then I say, how old are you? And he said, I'm 27 today. So I want to wish him a very happy 28th birthday, because he said, I have reason to celebrate my life because I'm still breathing. And I think that's what we all can say, no matter all that we hear in the news, and we get bad reports, but don't get stuck. I think that's what these survivors taught me. And I can just imagine wherever they are today, they're still believing in the goodness of God. And, they went to church, which, churches I don't think get enough credit for being the place to go, not in just the bad times, but the good times too, because as we all saw 1 year ago today, you never know. Life can change on a dime.
All right. Wonderful words of encouragement. And we really appreciate your time today, Stephanie. Thanks again for your insights. Blessings to you.
God bless you too.